Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Shri Parantaya Mayapur Sashi ki, Shri Tulsinath Maharaj ki, Shri Giridhari Lal ki, Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Warm welcome to everyone for the Sunday morning class. We'll go through first based on Scottish Vaishnava calendar. Dwadashi and breakfast time is 10 to 8 to 17 past 11. Also, today is the glorious day, the Sapirians Day of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, we'll read a bit about our acharyas and pray for their blessings and mercy. Their sheer kindness and love that they have given us all the literature and all the do's and don'ts, the encouragement, inspiration, pitfalls in the path of devotional service, and also the glory of beauty of devotional service. And it is by sincerely following in their footsteps we can pray for some mercy and be of use for Krishna. So we'll speak a bit about Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was most probably born in the year 1416 Sakapta in the village of Shri Krishnapur as the son of Govardhan Majumdar, who was the younger brother of the then Zamindar Hiranya Majumdar. His spiritual master at home was Yadunandan Acharya. In Panihati, he arranged for a feast of chipped rice and yogurt for Lord Nityanand and for all his associates. Shri Nityanand was very pleased with him, and by his mercy, Raghunath Das could attain the association of Lord Gauranga. Although Raghunath Das was a family man, he had no attachment for his estate and wife. Seeing his tendency to leave home, his father and uncle engaged special bodyguards to watch over him. But nevertheless, he managed to escape their vigilance and went away to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This incident took place in the year 1436 and thus they both engaged in the confidential service of the Lord, attending to his baths, meals, rest, massages, etc. He rendered this service in Jagannath Puri for 16 years, and after the disappearance of both the Lord and Swarup Damodar, he left Jagannath Puri for Vrindavan. Raghunath Das intended to go to Vrindavan to see the lotus feet of Rupa and Sanatan and then give up his life by jumping from Govardhan Hill. The two brothers Rupa and Sanatan, however, didn't allow him to die. They accepted him as their third brother and kept him in their company. Because Raghunath Das Goswami was an assistant to Swarup Damodar, he knew about the external and internal features of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Thus the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, used to hear of this from him. Raghunath Das compiled three books named Stavamala or Stavali, Dan Charitra, and Mukta Charitra. He lived for a long duration of life. For most of his life, he resided at Radhakund. He almost completely gave up eating, and therefore he was very skinny and of weak health. His only concern was to chant the holy name of the Lord. He gradually reduced his sleeping until he was almost not sleeping at all. It is said that his eyes were always full of tears. When Srinivas Acharya went to see him, the Goswami blessed him by embracing him. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was formerly the gopi named Rasamanjari. Sometimes it is said that he was Rati Manjari. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Maharaj ki jai. So, speaking of Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was born in approximately 1425 AD as the son of Tapan Mishra, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of Tapan Mishra, Raghunath Bhatt, who was then a boy, washed his dishes and massaged his legs. When Raghunath grew to be a young man, he visited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri and stayed there for 8 months. Lord Chaitanya asked him not to marry but remain a brahmachari. Sometimes he offered prasadam to the Lord. He was an expert cook. Whatever he cooked would be nectarian. Lord Chaitanya was greatly pleased to accept the foodstuffs that he cooked and he would take the remnants left by the Lord. Later, by the order of Lord Chaitanya, he went to Vrindavan and remained there under the shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami, and for whom he recited the Srimad Bhagavatam. And repeat again. Later, by the order of Lord Chaitanya, he went to Vrindavan and remained there until under the shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami, for whom he recited the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was so expert that he would recite each verse of the Bhagavatam in three melodious tunes. While living with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord blessed him by offering him betel nuts offered to the Jagannath deity and a garland of tulasi said to be as long as 14 cubits. The Govinda Temple was constructed by Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's order to one of his disciples. Raghunath Bhatta supplied all the ornaments of the Govinda deity. He never talked of nonsense or worldly matters, but always engaged in hearing about Krishna. He never cared to hear blasphemy of a Vaishnava. Even when there were points to be criticized, he used to say that since all the Vaishnavas were engaged in the service of the Lord, he did not mind their faults. Later, Raghunath Bhatt lived by Radhakund in a small cottage. He was formerly the gopi named Ragamanjari. Srila Raghunath Bhatt Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Speaking about Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, appearing near Katwa, Krishnadas Kaviraj left for Vrindavan after Lord Nityananda told him in a dream, "O my dear Krishnadas, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things." Krishnadas took Diksha from Raghunath Das Goswami. He lived a renounced life at Shyamakund near Mensa Pavana Ghat, Radharani's midday bathing place. Shijiv Goswami, as per his custom of giving titles of honor to qualified devotees, gave Krishnadas the title Kaviraj, the king of poets, for his poetic masterpiece Govinda Leelamrita. During during Krishnadas's time, all the Vaishnavas would gather at Govindaji's temple to hear Sri Haridas Pandit read Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. The devotees were eager to hear about Lord Gauranga's later pastimes, so they asked Krishnadas Kaviraj to write them. Krishnadas prayed to Madan Mohan for ability and blessings. The deity's flower garland fell down, indicating divine sanction. Krishnadas's Kaviraj's Chaitanya Charitamrta is the most accurate, authentic, and philosophical biography of Lord Chaitanya. Every line is full of infinite humility, enthusiasm, and devotion for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Krishnadas had the wonderful power of speaking without offending, even when rebuking his opponents. He had vast knowledge in all Vedic scriptures. His book shows his skill in the Shrutis, Smritis, Nyaya, Jyotish Shastra, and the culinary arts. Although he was an erudite scholar, a strict ascetic, a Paramahansa, Rasika, Vaishnava, Krishna Das writes about himself. I am deaf, tongue, wholly illiterate, worldly minded, and lower than a woman's stool. His personal humility automatically attracts the heart of any reader of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kaviraj was a living example of humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. A devotee will advance spiritually and understand Sri Chaitanya's teachings on Radha Krishna Prema Bhakti by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Yuraja Lila, Krishnadas Kaviraj is Kasturi Manjari, one of the 8 most intimate maid servants of Srimati Radharani. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki Shri Guru Parampara ki Jai. Reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, Uniting Two Worlds, Volume 6, chapter entitled I have done my part. Srila Prabhupada spoke on carried by waves of transcendental emotion and carrying his loving disciples with him. Carried by waves of transcendental emotion and carrying his loving disciples with him. When I go to America, he said, especially Los Angeles and New York, I feel at home. At the mention of New York, he began to remember his first days there. I was like a street boy, he said. I was going here and there, sightseeing. I was going here and there, sightseeing. I was in New York City, but one morning I saw all the walls were white. How have they become white? Who has whitewashed them? I thought. I went downstairs and there was so much snow. I went with an umbrella and purchased a pack of milk in the snow. At that time, I was living in a dungeon. It was always dark, but I didn't care. Whatever difficulty, whatever difficulty, I didn't care. I only wanted to preach. Sometimes people would touch me, like men on the Bowery, but no one was inimical. Everyone was friendly, even the Buma, even the bums, sorry. When I went to enter my New York building, the bums would get up from where they were lying down and let me pass by. I couldn't understand the difference between friends and enemies. Prabhupada said a friend of his had been shocked to hear that he was moving to the Bowery. Oh, Swamiji, his friend had said, you have gone to Bowery Street. It is a horrible place. I passed through many dangers, continued Prabhupada, yet I couldn't understand that here is danger. Everywhere I thought, this is my home. Srila Prabhupada recalled random details of his first preaching endeavors at 26 Second Avenue. I was working very hard, he said, lecturing at 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening, cooking and distributing prasadam to anyone who was coming. Do you remember Satsvarupa? You would bring some mango and fruit. Daily you would come. Those days are past. Now I feel happiness remembering those days. Remember that boy? Striyadhishan. He would eat so many chapatis. He would never have enough. Every time he wanted more, I would give him 4 chapatis at a time. Kirtananda, Achyutananda, 75 people would attend that Sunday feast. His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
The chair could be arranged.
In the chair? Sorry, you want a chair? Do I want to read?
No, no.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Do you need the chair?
No, I'm okay.
Reading from Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila Volume 4. This is chapter 18, the Lord's visit to Sri Vrindavan, text 101. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Pura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Pura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Pura Bhakta Vrinda.
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वानुश्रुता स्वभावात् करोति यत् यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणमिति समर्पयेत् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So chapter 18, text 101. कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Krishna Kene Darshana Tibe Kali Kali.
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले
Nija Brahme Mukha Loka Parikula Hare.
कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Krishna Kene Darshana Dibekani Kale.
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले
Nija Brahme Mukha Loka Parikula Hare.
कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Krishna Kene Darshana Dibekani Kale.
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले
Nija Brahme Mukha Loka Parikula Hare.
Someone would please like to
Krishna Kena Darshana Dive Kali Kali
कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Nija Brahmi Loka Loka Kali Kola Hari
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले
Krishna Kena Darshana Dive Kali Kali
कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Nija Brahmi Loka Loka Kali Kola Hari
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले
Krishna Kene Darshana Dibekani Kale.
कृष्ण के न दर्शन दिवे कली काले
Nija Brahme Mukha Loka Parikula Hare.
निज भ्रमे मूर्ख लोक करे कोलाहले So nectarian, every verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita just go on singing and singing. So we go on word meanings. Krishna,
Krishna,
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna.
Kene,
Kene,
why?
why?
Darshana,
Darshana,
interview.
interview.
Dive,
Dive,
would give.
would give.
Kali Kale,
Kali Kali,
in this age of Kali.
in this age of Kali.
Nija Brahme,
Nija Brahme,
by their own mistake.
by their own mistake.
Murkha Loka,
Murka Loka,
foolish persons.
foolish persons.
Kare Kolahale,
Kali Kola Hare,
make a chaotic tumult.
make a chaotic tumult.
Translation. Why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. Please respond on translation. Why would Krishna
Why would Krishna
appear in the age of Kali?
appear in the age of Kali?
Foolish people who are mistaken
Foolish people who are mistaken
are simply causing agitation and making a tumult.
are agitation and causing or making a tumult.
Purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first statement, Krishna Kena Darshana Dive Kalikare, refers to the scriptures. According to scriptures, Krishna appears in Dwapar Yuga, but he never appears as himself in Kali Yuga. Rather, he appears in Kali Yuga in a covered form, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Tvarsadam. Krishna appears in the age of Kali in the garb of a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who always associates with his internal Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always associates with his internal soldiers, Sri Advait Prabhu, Sri Nityanand Prabhu, Shivas Prabhu, and Gadadhar Prabhu. Although Balbhadra Bhattacharya was personally serving Lord Krishna in his role as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he mistook Lord Krishna for an ordinary man and an ordinary man for Lord Krishna because he did not follow the rules set down by Shastra and Guru. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वानुश्रुता स्वभावात् करोति यत् यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणमिति समर्पयेत् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुतीर्थारणम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Read the translation. Why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. How to pronounce this word, making a tumult?
That's it.
That's a tumult.
Trouble.
No, tumult means like tumultuous.
Yeah.
Something.
Is it creating a sound vibration, making a sound vibration?
It's a big. It's not a fuss, but
Song and dance.
No. Some.
Making something.
Making it an occasion and make. That's not the right word, but.
You and cry.
Sorry.
Making a you and cry.
Yeah. That's one thing, and then it says how the conch shells of Bhishma and so on were tumultuous. The sound of conch shells and of Bhishma and the crews was tumultuous. You hear that in the Bhagavad Gita, so it's a big sound. So this is a kind of a big kind of
big ones.
Yeah. I can't find the exact synonym. Tumultuous. Something noisy, a lot of action, like that. Creating a lot of attention.
Right, okay.
Why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. This is the nature of one who is mistaken. Cannot afford but not to make cannot afford but will make agitation or create agitation of trouble or tumult. And this trouble, one who is again living in a mistaken identity. So living in a mistaken identity, every now and then, every frequently, there would be a agitation to begin with within ourselves. There would be a big strong agitation within ourselves and making a tumult as well within our consciousness, like waves or ripples in our consciousness, but this waves and ripples is something which isn't at all saturating us, which is from time to time going to trouble us or bother us. So why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? So just if I rewind a bit on the past times, so Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's in his visit to Vrindavan, and he's being assisted by Ballabhadra Bhattacharya. And during the coming to Vrindavan and during that time, they hear this noise going all around, that this rumors, noise or sound, whisper or message has been going around, that Lord Krishna has appeared and he could be seen in the Yamuna river, and he's on a boat and he's doing the same activity, the pastime, he's repeating the pastime of the killing of the Kanya snake, venomous snake, like that. So actually saying that Lord Krishna has appeared wasn't incorrect. It is the blessing of Goddess Saraswati, devotee of Krishna, how she makes everything that okay, those people who do not possess that faith or who are not that blessed, they wouldn't really understand the message. And those who are surrendered, faithful or devoted, they would get even the charm out of it. So when saying that Lord Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan, it was indeed very true. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in Vrindavan. So Krishna has appeared in Vrindavan. But they were mistaken in their understanding. because as it later happened to be known. What was happening? The villagers were saying actually boatman was there on a boat and he was trying to catch fishes. And he was in night time he would go, or in the real early dawn hours, morning hours, he would go trying to catch fishes, and he would carry a torch or a lamp light with him. And because of the reflection in the shadow, it appeared okay that Krishna is there in the Yamuna river, and look, the hoods of snake are there and he's dancing. But actually, he was a boatman, was carrying his torch, and he was going on about his usual business of catching fish. But uh, people, they got a bit carried away and a bit too sentimental perhaps, and they completely connected the wrong dots and then caused a big fuss. So Goddess Saraswati, even though the people who are in ignorance, they were taking whatever the message to be as such. But for devotees, yes, it is true. Krishna appeared in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not different from Krishna, was actually Krishna. He appeared in Vrindavan. But Mahaprabhu, to teach us, to give us this scriptural based knowledge. Shishikorantar Maya Pursa Shiki.
Jai.
How the pastime. So, again, Mahaprabhu, in a way, if I may see and say, is using Balabhadra Bhattacharya as an instrument to educate and enlighten us. Like in the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the chapter entitled Universal Form, Arjuna requests Krishna, asks Krishna to reveal his universal form to him. Because in the previous chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddhavav samanvita. So in chapter 10, text 8, Krishna says that I am the source of all spiritual and material emanations of creations. Everything comes from me. And one who is an intelligent, wise person knowing this, he would engage himself in my devotional service. So Arjuna inquired or requested Krishna that if you could please kindly show your universal form, because you have said and I have complete faith in you, and I've heard it in line with authorities and in the disciplic succession from various sages. But this is a dark period, dark age, where people will have so many questions and all. And people themselves, they would pose or act being Krishna. They wouldn't shy away from claiming to be God or posing as God or Krishna. So could you please kindly reveal your universal form to me? For me, I am alright. I don't have a personal inclination to see your universal form. So Krishna used Arjuna as his instrument, as an instrument, or used Arjuna, his dearest friend, to broadcast a message via Arjuna. And then Krishna revealed his universal form to set this message and tone, okay, Krishna not only something he says, he demonstrates as well. So Krishna is perfect and complete and beyond. Perfect and complete. So one may still say, okay, if he's complete, then that's it, that the circle is fully drawn. There's no more to him then. Actually, he's perfect and complete and beyond, as in ever evolving. So Arjuna requested Krishna, please, if you could kindly show your universal form. And that was not for himself. Because in future, if someone, we go and someone professing spirituality, and some were professing some path of spirituality and promoting some spiritual culture or activity and all. And if he then turns about claiming himself to be God, and there are actually, unfortunately, in the world, then we could check, we could ask, okay, could you reveal your universal form? Something. So, thing is, Krishna is God, not because he does magic or miracles. Uh, he's not God because he does some magics or miracles. That is not the criteria of identity. But because he is God, it appears for someone who is not in tune or love with Krishna, it appears like wow, so magic and all. And those who are completely fallen in love with Krishna, this is the mood of Brajvasis, residents of Vrindavan. Even though Krishna was doing things in front of them, like killing Putna, a demoness who had come to kill Krishna, and he was baby 60 old. And Krishna killed Putna easily, without any hardship and without doing any something. And the way the man, everything, whatever he done, never was there any disturbance to his Vrindavan mates, residents, friends, and relatives, and all. Right? So, and yet they struggled to take Krishna as God because they were so enamored, they were so enchanted by his beauty, by his smile, by his glances. And this is the mood of Krishna. Very sweet, completely sweet. So they would struggle to take him as God. And he killed some more demons and did more miraculous activities. But they were never enchanted by his this uh, power-oriented capacity. They were always enamored by his sweetness, his sweet loving relationship, his sweet loving reciprocation, his sweet loving glances and engagements and activities and talking towards them. So, Krishna used Arjuna as an instrument in the sense that his friend Arjuna to demonstrate this message. Likewise, Mahaprabhu here through Balbhadra Bhattacharya is educating us that we do not go in this phantasmagoria or in this glamour and all, okay, there's more pomp and here and there. We should be always looking after the absolute truth and absolute reality. And absolute truth and absolute reality should be in line with the scriptures. It should be in sync with the scriptures. In line with the scriptures and what the saints are saying, and is it in reference to? So there should be a complete straight line where three dots should be completely connected without any discrepancy or any differences. So, what the scriptures are saying, are the saints who are propagating the scriptural message, are they commenting exactly as it is what is the message of the scripture, or are they fabricating it a bit, even a bit? So, what the scriptures say, and what the saints say, and what once the spiritual masters say, they should all be in line. So Mahaprabhu, via Balabhadra Bhattacharya, is teaching us, educating us to not get in such a useless trap, completely useless trap, which will really pull us down and lead us nowhere from what our highest potential is, from what our highest, actually our, say, entitlement is, which is a place in the kingdom of God. So, and as quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.532, Mahaprabhu appears in, as Krishna appears in this particular age of Kali in a covered form, in a like an undercover or in an covered form. But still, Krishna, God is never aloof or he can never hide himself from his devotees. Krishna, his pure devotees, and his pure devotional service are existing since eternity, have been existing, and will exist since eternity. So there is no hiding away. So Mahaprabhu appeared, and pure devotees, they know Advaita Acharya, and as it says in Prabhupada, his soldiers, they all know. And they are broadcasting Krishna's appearance. So Krishna cannot actually hide himself from his pure devotees, and pure devotees also cannot not share the glories of devotional service and the glories of Lord Krishna. That is the nature. But it is seen if someone is after cheap glory and someone is after cheap result, quick, easy result and all, then we get mistaken. And whenever we are mistaken, it is bound to create some chaos, it is bound to create some noise, it is bound to create some tumult in our consciousness, and which isn't going to help us, which isn't going to elevate us at all. So our whatever we say, whatever we speak and understand, we should cross-check it. Is it in line with scriptures, and is it the absolute message, the absolute sanctity of the scriptures, the real sanctity of the scriptures, is that being maintained or not? The thing is, in order to understand, there has to be some level of or degree of qualification. Otherwise, how do we understand? There's so many scams going on, so many frauds going on in this world. Even I remember early 2020 when before even going into lockdown or when lockdown started, and people got a sense, okay, this is going to stay for a bit of a time. And there were some messages coming right from government and people as well, that beware of scams in this time, and online scam as well, and fraud, and even so much of theory scams, frauds, and everything going on. So, how to differentiate and understand between right and wrong, good and bad, truth and false? So there has to be some caliber is needed. Otherwise, we cannot differentiate between real gold and imitation gold. On the face value, on the surface, apparently it may look like real gold because of the dazzle, the glittering, the glow. But actually, is it real gold? So for that, one himself has to have some qualification, knowledge, and understanding. And this is why the basic in the practice of yoga, the basic rules and regulations, do's and don'ts need to be followed. Why? To first of all train our mind and senses, to calm ourselves down, to come to at least accepting or acknowledging, and then accepting a sense of equanimity. From there on, we can actually understand the ultimate, the absolute message of the scriptures. So a level of, say, what somewhat purity is needed, and how would that come about? When we put something into practice. So when we try to refrain ourselves from activities which are pulling us down, uh, and when we try to engage ourselves in activities which can actually elevate us. So coming to this platform, then gradually we can build up a sense wherein we can actually see, yes, is it really someone is cheating me or someone is teaching me? It is commonly seen that we go for getting some teaching, say, but we end up becoming cheated. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it kicks off right from the very beginning all the cheating messages or all the cheating religious messages or activities or proposals, offerings, everything. And it is broadcasting nothing but pure loving devotional service. Okay, so at this point, maybe I will give a pause, and if there are any questions or comments, then please come forward.
this proper process of purification, then the impurities come up. So how can we recognize them, not identify with them, and be free of them?
Nice question. So in the process of practicing devotional service, we see impurities coming up, sprouting up again and again from say time to time. And how would we not get baffled, confused, or how do we again not hold on to those impurities, take on to those impurities, and still march on in our practice of devotional service? Is that the question? Very nice question. So impurities, I will try to, with my limited understanding, try to address this question. But before I actually try to address this question, why does these impurities come up in the first place? We are practicing pure devotional service, so we are practicing devotional service. Actually, pure devotional service may not be practicing in the pure sense, but why do these impurities come up? Because of the impressions, the desires which we are carrying forward in our conscious, subconscious mind from all the previous lives, and so many hidden desires, and they sprout up, come up one after the other. Like Prabhupada gives this beautiful example and understanding. In a muddy water or in a lake, say, where there's been raining and all, and then the mud is settled, say, but we see after a certain time, from time to time, there's some, how to say, some mud and water coming up. So likewise, these impurities are coming up. Now, another thing to say, actually, these impurities as well should be taken as a blessing from Krishna. Because if these impurities do not come up from time to time, how do we check and understand and know that are we actually growing, or are we becoming strong in our devotional service? If we do not, so these impurities are kind of a check on us. Now coming to the question, so these impurities, they come up time to time, and how do we not associate ourselves with these impurities? How do we not again take on to these impurities? So this is why the solution is giving good oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, to Chaitanya Charitamrta, wherein the glories, the pure transcendental divine glories of Lord Krishna is completely written down. So when we hear about the glories of Krishna, the glories of devotional service, Krishna's name, form, uh, um, paraphernalia, dham, Krishna's abode, when we hear his glories, his devotees' glories, and the glories of pure devotional service, then our own nature, our real nature will keep on reviving, will be keeping on activated. Like the laptop is charged, plugged in at the moment. So as we continuously hear the glories of Krishna, we would be also plugged in or keeping ourselves activated and charged to the revival of our original consciousness. And when we are constantly aware in remembrance of our original consciousness, then we would not getting disturbed or baffled, or we wouldn't take on to these impurities. So the solution is, this is why Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya, by daily giving good oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting the holy names of the Lord with good attention, with good prayerful mood, and understanding the process Sambandh Abhiday Prayojan, that ultimately, why am I practicing devotional service? Who am I, and what what is my relationship with Krishna? When that is always at our forefront, who am I? What is my relationship with Krishna? When this element is always at our forefront, then we can give away the impurities. Like say, someone knocking at our door, ting tong, someone rings the bell, okay, we open the door, and some person who has come to offer us something for which we have no need, no requirement, and we sense, okay, he could be a dodgy person, or for whatever he's offering, we have no need, no requirement. We can easily, politely, easily say no to him, right? And close the door. We wouldn't even entertain, there won't be any talks, any discussion, any negotiation or anything, any inquiries. No, sorry, not needed. And we'll close the door and we'll go on with our business. So likewise, when we are constantly in awareness of our identity, who am I, who is Krishna, then we wouldn't, these impurities would come about, but we will not take them. And how to be in constantly awareness or how to develop or come to this is by regular practice of devotional service and also detaching ourselves, detaching ourselves from our, if I may say, our previous life or engagement, I mean, in our previous engagement in this bodily existence so far, then we can think, we can do more meditative, we can reflect more, and we can develop some vision. Do I want to be cheated or fooled or uh, by some temporary gains, which are actually not even gains, which are such a distraction? Or do I really want to hang on to the, aspire for the lotus feet of Krishna? So by giving good order reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting attentively and by keeping in our forefront, who am I? Huh? What is my relationship with Krishna? And Krishna is watching, Krishna is listening. So keeping this in good counseling within ourselves and good association, the impurities will knock, but we need not entertain them. Does this answer your question?
Yes, we like that example of the salesman come to the door, and if you're really kind of in, you know, situated in a real identity or your real, um, you're engrossed in the purpose of human life, then you can see what they're offering is not, it's cheap and not useful to you, so you just easily reject it. But sometimes anartas are like unwanted, but we want them, sort of thing.
Yes.
So I'm reminded of Prabhupada. He goes before the deities, and he's a pure devotee, but he'd always pray that he said he never falls down. He'll never fall down because he prays that he'll never fall down. So similarly, that we have to have that healthy fear of Maya.
Yes.
If you can speak on that.
Can I just come in there? You know, I'm sure I'm getting this right about impurities. So I would see like impurities as like defects of your character, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've always, my understanding of impurities of one's character will never go away because it's a process. Like it's not perfect. It'll never ever be perfect. You know. All you can do is identify the impurity, probably like take inventory on it, and then give it to Krishna or God, or just say, you know, help me be a better person, or turn it on its head if you can, and forgive yourself, you know, forgive yourself. Maybe that's, I don't know.
No, so this is good. Impurity is the defect in our character, right? Or it brings about the defect in our character. And originally, we all are pure. Deep down, we all are pure. None of us actually um, want this impurity for a long term. And I like when say, so Krishna consciousness is not a path of perfection in the sense. It is a path of more than perfection, it is a path of excellence. How do I keep on excelling? How do I excel? Because see with perfection there is a good scope. Adamancy may creep in. There's a good scope that there could be some element of adamancy or vanity, pride may keep creeping. But if someone is in this consciousness that excel, I have to excel, which means I still have impurities. I'm harboring impurities. There's impurities in my heart, and I have to excel, I have to work. And like what you say, so this working, this is why we have to engage Krishna in our prayers. Like Krishna, I know I have these impurities in my heart, and even more, even more. So please sort me out. Please help. Yes, please help. And also, Mother Vrinda said, like honesty is the best policy, or it is a good to be honest, a fair assessment of ourselves. So we acknowledge, we understand and acknowledge that we are in the path of pure devotional service, but I'm not practicing it purely. And we should actually feel unfortunate as well that I'm not practicing it purely and acknowledging, understanding that yes, I am still myself harboring this unwanted things or impurities. Um, Chaniya suniya vishakhainu. So even after knowing and understanding everything, still it is I who go. It is I who go into the lap of Maya. I myself take myself into the lap of Maya. But so we knowing this is a good thing, but then it is not good enough. Just saying honestly, oh yeah, I'm honest and I understand. That is also not good enough. Then efforts should be made. So genuinely, this is where self-introspection is very much needed. After all, individually also there has to be personal Krishna consciousness ignited, and that has to be taken on. That enough is enough in the sense, Krishna, please, I'm really meaning it. So we need to show our heart and intent to Krishna. Otherwise, we are cheating no one else but ourselves. Any further question or comment?
Also, it's difficult in the sense that we're in the atmosphere of Maya, that's why I'm saying constantly hearing, attentive hearing, and engaging in devotional association with devotees, because we want to relax, because it's like an example of ink in an inky atmosphere. You have to keep pouring the milk in and to displace the milk. Otherwise, if you stop pouring, then eventually the milk turn back to ink. So even if we're a pure devotee, if we consider ourselves pure, although a devotee never considers himself pure, but still he has to be on his guard because he's still behind enemy lines, if you like. So Maya can be in, Maya can leave on and out of class.
So it's Maya ego.
Yeah, well, she comes in different forms, but that's one of the ways she can come in. Ego, she can enter our intelligence or take lures by our senses,
Right.
to be on the bodily platform instead of being showing ourselves, knowing ourselves to be pure spirit, soul, servant of Krishna. So, yeah, so we always have to be on our guard. That's just the main thing. Because we don't know what we've done in our past lives either, that are maybe things being fructified. It might be something pious, it might be something impious.
Mm-hmm.
So that we know that we're always in knowledge of what's happening.
This is why we have to come to the level of ruchi interest, as to get genuine interest in practicing devotional service. We have to develop the taste and friendship in practicing devotional service. Only then will associate and see others as Vaishnava. And when we start seeing others as Vaishnava, then actually some Vaishnava, more Vaishnava blessings would come upon us. And by that grace and blessing, one day we could as well become a Vaishnava. Okay, on this note, thank you very much for your patient listening and encouragement. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta ki, Shri Nitai Mayapur Sashi ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Shri Prabhupada ki.
Yes, grace. Back to Shiva. That's how conscious we have to be.
I'll get there.
Is this computer used just for class, isn't it?
Sounds.
Or is it your